Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Nielsen Wright, for that very kind introduction. I am indeed very honored to be invited back by Chatham House. I do fondly recall being there in person in July 2018 to speak on developments on the Korean Peninsula and how the world has changed in the meantime. On the Korean Peninsula, the high expectations of 2018 have been replaced by a sobering sense of the difficulties involved. The diplomatic engagement with North Korea to realize complete denuclearization and permanent peace on the Korean Peninsula remains stalled, unfortunately. Around the world, the climate and ecological crisis has deepened. At the geopolitical level, the strategic competition among the big powers has intensified, increasing the uncertainty that countries must manage in relations with others. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has taken millions of lives and severely tested the capacities of states and global institutions. It has crippled economies, reversed the hard-won gains to achieve the SDGs, deepened inequalities, and changed the ways and looks of human interaction in daily lives, business activities, politics, and diplomacy, perhaps forever. On the brighter side, scientific endeavors have been victorious in the speedy development of the COVID-19 vaccines, but we are far from realizing equitable and affordable access to the vaccines around the world. Against this backdrop, the G7 leadership in tackling global challenges has been more pressing than ever. And the Cornwall Summit, I believe, delivered. The Republic of Korea was happy to be among the 4 countries invited to join in the efforts this year. I've watched the events largely through the news, but we are very pleased with the results, and the G7, I presume, was also very appreciative of our contributions. Let me first heartily congratulate the UK host for the successes of the summit in Cornwall. Overcoming the past few years of inaction and waning relevance, the summit sent a strong signal to the world of re-energized G7 leadership in pursuit of global solutions to global challenges. The active role of the UK chair was vital in this regard. The about-face of the Biden administration, from the unilateralism of its predecessor to a robust defense of multilateralism, was also instrumental. The fruits of the Cornwall Summit have been widely publicized, and I will just highlight some of those that South Korea has contributed to. The agreement to provide 1 billion doses of the COVID-19 vaccines this and next year, largely to the COVAX AMC, falls well short of the WHO's call. But it is a significant start, demonstrating the determination of the G7 to meet this most glaring gap in the struggle to end the pandemic, and triggering further efforts to make the vaccines much more available in the developing and poor countries. The Republic of Korea has contributed to this with a pledge to provide $200 million in kind and in cash for the vaccines. Beyond the vaccines, the G7 and the 4 guests also discussed ways to strengthen the global public health governance, technical transfers and voluntary licensing to increase vaccine production, establishment of regional manufacturing hubs, and lifting of export restrictions on raw materials for the vaccines. On climate change, the G7 reaffirmed their net zero commitments, pledged to upgrade their NDCs, and to stop overseas financing of coal power stations, thus paving the way to a successful COP26 in Glasgow in November this year. My country, too, announced our 2015 net zero vision last year. And this year, we made the tough decision to halt public financing of overseas coal power plants. And we hosted the P4G summit in late May, which brought together leaders of government, business, and civil society from developed and developing countries, as well as international organizations, under the theme, Inclusive Green Recovery Towards Carbon Neutrality. The Seoul Declaration adopted at the end captured the collective will of the participants towards inclusive green recovery, concrete climate action and environmental goals, and the roles of diverse actors to realize carbon neutrality. Last but not least, the Cornwall Summit underscored the importance of shared values. Authoritarianism has been on the rise around the world in recent years to the detriment of human rights and democratic principles. The past year has highlighted the different approaches between open, free, democratic countries and closed authoritarian governments in the face of the pandemic. And within democratic societies, discrimination, hate crimes, radical extremism, and populism have become all too familiar. In adopting the joint statement on open societies, the top leaders of the 11 countries in Cornwall underscored their shared determination to protect and propagate the values of open democracies. South Korea was invited to the G7 table this year, as it was last year, because I believe we are a like-minded country with growing abilities to contribute to global solutions to global crises. We are the 10th largest economy, a vibrant democracy born of an authoritarian past, a digital powerhouse with an innovative spirit, and as demonstrated throughout the prolonged pandemic, a model in effective infectious disease control and containment. We have been late than many others in the vaccine rollout. We are currently at 30% of the population with the first injection and 9% fully vaccinated. Still, at just around 150,000 cases of COVID-19 infections and 2,000 deaths cumulative so far, our robust and steady response to the pandemic has produced many good practices and experiences to share with others, and we have. Thus, at the Cornwall Summit, President Moon Jae-in was able to actively engage with the other leaders in charting the path forward to overcome the pandemic, the climate crisis, and challenges to open democracies. The participation in the G7 this year has been an occasion for South Korea to determine to more actively contribute to global issues and take the leap towards joining the ranks of the world's most advanced countries. A seat at that table means greater responsibilities and duties. It has also reaffirmed the need to add greater scope and depth to our foreign policy horizon, beyond the Korean Peninsula and the region. The international community, I believe, expects us to do so, and we have the ability to do so. The pledge of 200 million for the vaccines made by President Moon at the summit was unprecedented by our existing standards, but we need to do much more. Currently, at just around 0.14% of GNI, our overseas development assistance must be boldly increased. But more important than the material contributions, our unique contribution would be our story of the transformation from a poor, war-devastated country through decades of authoritarian rule bent on aggregate economic growth with little regard for the environment or the human cost, to a lively and open democracy and market economy where the human rights and freedoms of individuals are upheld, and those charged with the power of the state must work very hard for their safety and well-being. Furthermore, our contributions come without historical or political baggage, and only with enlightened self-interest and genuine desire for co-prosperity. So I was pleased to learn from my former colleagues in the ministry that the South Korean delegation actively contributed to the 2021 Open Societies Statement. I hope the lofty words of the statement to become action that inspires others to follow suit. And I also hope that the future years will bring many more opportunities for the Republic of Korea to partake in the G7 endeavors to provide global leadership that strengthens multilateral solutions based on the principles of openness, inclusiveness, and transparency. Thank you very much.